Welcome to the Global Real Estate and Entrepreneurship Podcast. I am so excited to have my beautiful friend from eXp International, the founder of Unicorn Properties. Welcome, Nathaly Salas, to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Super excited to be here and excited to talk about international real estate.
I know. And I'm just going to give everyone a little bit of a teaser. Nathaly is going to be in the Toronto area talking about fabulous opportunities for our snowbirds to buy amazing, sustainable, environmentally friendly properties in the beautiful Mayan Riviera. So stay tuned to the end of the podcast, and we're going to give you all the details of how you can actually win a $300 tour in Mayan Riviera of these incredible properties with Nathaly and her team. And we're coming to Toronto at the end of next week.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And well, we have a surprise at the end. So stay all the way through. And, I want to be sharing much information about how to buy in Mexico, other countries, and the collaboration we have with Nicole here. And specifically, we're in Canada right now, freezing a little bit because we're not used to this weather anymore, but we're super excited to meet in person everybody next week.
Right. And you've brought in the spring weather, which is amazing, and we appreciate that. But it's so important now, especially in the climate that we're in, for our baby boomers, our snowbirds, to have safe alternatives outside of the traditional areas that they used to vacation and spend their winter months. We've got a fantastic amazing alternative. And guess what? Our dollar goes further in Mexico than it does in the United States. So this is also a really a great financial opportunity for our baby boomers to safely purchase in the beautiful Mayan Riviera. So let's talk a little bit about your journey in real estate.
Sure, sure. Just to give you some background, my career started in technology, and because of that, I always thought about how to solve things with tools in technology. So when I came to me and real estate, and specifically, was to during the pandemic, many people moved to Mexico or moved partially to Mexico. It depends many areas within Mexico, just because we're really close. I'm based in Chicago, but if you tell me I can stay, in a warm weather with the beach next door, I'm like, yeah, I'll be there, especially in winter, when winters in Chicago are so, so cold, like just in Canada.
We
When
hear
we were
that.
there, when we were there, we're like, maybe we were working remotely back then. I was working in tech, and we were working there, and something came to me. I was like, maybe I can live here. If I work remotely, why would I go back to Chicago for anything? I mean, unless to see my friends, maybe. But I moved there with my sister and my mom, so we were my family was together. So we didn't have to go back to Chicago for anything. And at that point, we were thinking maybe we can buy something here and do a transition. I mean, well, it sounded crazy because I'm like, you don't move much, from big cities to Mexico, but this made sense for us because, at least for me, my mom needed a caregiver 24/7. So we needed to have somebody in the house, meaning in Chicago, we couldn't have anybody during the pandemic. And we were burnt out working and, taking care of my mom with my sister. So it was a lot of, it was intense. We moved to Mexico and we were able to have somebody at home, which made a whole day and night world of difference because we were able to have my mom taken care of, we were able to work, and we were by the beach. So that kind of was like, this is a no-brainer. We decided to purchase. And I think for us, I wasn't in real estate back then, 4 years ago, but I joined this industry because of the need that I had that I didn't have when I bought, because we didn't have the support, we didn't know anybody. I'm Peruvian originally, so Latin America is similar, but Mexico is different for me, especially
Right.
when it comes to buying something.
Sure.
Uh, we were like lost. We're like, what should we talk to? Who should we trust? Where do we start? How do you know it's a good, viable product that we're looking at? So the search and the kind of frustration because we had to work with three different realtors, and my mom's in a wheelchair, so we're looking something for with elevator or first floor, and the realtors will show us something with stairs and not on first floors, or it had stairs to go up, and we're like, well, this is not gonna work because we need specifically something with elevator or easy access with it for the wheelchair. So I felt like they didn't listen to us, to our needs, or how you wanted to, what do we need, at least the basics. We're not asking for luxury, we're not asking for, marble floors, we're asking for first floor or elevator. So the frustration came when we were buying that we were not heard or we didn't know how to operate in the system. They didn't know how to explain to us what was the process. They were just like wanted to sell something, get in, get out. And something I didn't know either is that you don't need a license in Mexico, so anybody can be a realtor, and that's a problem because if you don't know your business, you don't know the risks you can put your client through. That's a
Yeah.
big risk for your client. I mean, probably you don't care because you get a commission as a realtor, but then your client will have, a liability later on or a problem, or they might lose money or they do a deposit and you just don't care. Like some people are there for the opportunity, but they're not there for their clients. And it's a very short-term career down there. And I felt that, I speak Spanish fluently. So it was not like a communication barrier. It was more about a cultural barrier and understanding, of a long-term relationship, in my opinion. So that was
Right.
kind of the story. And I'm like, who does real estate here, correctly? Because I was like, if I'm having this experience and I speak Spanish and I understand everything that is happening right now, how Americans or how Canadians buy here?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that opportunity that I saw, and I'm like, well, if nobody's taking care of this market, I'm moving here and I'm gonna do real estate. So that's how I started.
That's
That's
amazing. And you've hit on so many points that really touch home with Canadians. We're very conservative fiscally. Okay, we would, most of the time, we would have the language barrier, but it is understanding the system that we're not comfortable with, that we don't know, that we're not going to be scammed, that we're being directed the right way. We really do depend on the person, this professional, to guide us in the right way. And let's face facts, people's real estate are their biggest investments many times, which is one of the amazing things and the beautiful things about international real estate with EXP. And then also with our partner at BMO is we can provide a total solution for our snowbirds between, funding the product, putting you in responsible hands internationally to guide you through this beautiful paradise so it doesn't become a nightmare.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of horror stories, and I've seen them, I heard them. Fortunately enough, we've been doing our homework before we even show any inventory to our clients because we don't have an MLS, we don't have systems in place, we don't have a CRM that covers the whole country for inventory. So when a client asks us, "Hey, just send me a 3 bed, 2 bath anywhere in Mexico," we're like, "Okay, we have to be specific because the search is very manual. We have to literally go portal by portal to put that together." And
Wow.
it takes time because being a realtor in Chicago, you just push a button, gives you a CMA, a study of by zip code and the comparables and all the listings that you want to see. We have to do that manually. And some clients don't understand that. But we have to do that manually, plus do the research before we share with you which properties on the compliance side of things. Because we can show you 1,000 properties on a list, but probably only 20 of them will be compliant because not everything that shines is gold, obviously, in Latin America. And you cannot trust that there is going to be, if you do a lawsuit or you have a problem, the litigation takes so long that sometimes you may waste more money in the process itself of suing somebody than in actually recovering your money or your losses. So I work with a lot of attorneys that vet these properties ahead of time, and or we tell the clients these are the properties we recommend. You can always look outside of that, but you have to bring your attorney, make sure you validate all the information before you put any dollar in, because it's very tempting to be like, that's a nice picture, that's a nice render, and you don't know if it's real or not because that's, is they're building a lot of pre-construction and you just don't know if they're going to finish, you don't know if they're going to be compliant, if they're going to close their permits, you just don't know unless you work with trusted developers. And searching for those is like, looking for a needle in a haystack.
Corn.
So we're like, so we're very mindful of what we recommend because of that, because of there's some risks once you get there. There are some risks if you find somebody in Google you don't know. Like it's just, anybody can put something on the internet. Everybody's a realtor down there. So it's very hard to navigate that noise and be like, I want somebody to work for me and for my interest, not for their commission.
That's fantastic. And that is what every Canadian wants. You've just touched on all of the fears that, me as a Toronto person, and a realtor these would be my concerns for my clients and for myself in investing in Mexico. or outside of Canada, period. So to have someone like you who are, you're vetting that entire system and you're endorsed internationally by EXP International as being part of it, it's just a brilliant thing to help us navigate a world that we want to participate in, but safely.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's very tempting to move. That's why I think many people invest in the US because it's safe in a way, right? We have a system in place that will take care of your investment, and you can always leverage that asset for something else as well. But the cost also, right? The cost goes with that, like the low risk, high cost, high risk, lower cost because of you are willing to take the risk. And I don't call Mexico too risky if you know what you're doing, right? Nothing is too risky if you do your research. But we do a lot of comparables. We're not only selling Mexico, we're selling the Caribbean at the lifestyle of, having a plan B, having a home in the sun, like something that just you can escape to during cold months. And the lifestyle in nature that I love to live there. And Florida can provide something similar. We're in the east coast of Mexico in the Riviera Maya. So we have the same weather. We have the same benefits of, the sun, the beach, the white sands, and also the hurricanes too. So if something happens in Florida, it happens to us. So it's the same thing on the weather because some people ask me, oh, so what happened with the hurricanes in Mexico? I'm like, if he hits Florida, he's gonna hit us. If he hits us, he's gonna hit Florida. So we're not too far from each other. Literally, we're like an hour and a half away, and we have the same weather, same infrastructure in a way. But we do comparables. A lot of the how much can you live for in this place versus this place? And we know Florida has gone up in price quite a bit because everybody wants to move there. So you're competing with a lot of people. So if you want to get closer to the beach and in a high rise, that you get, that look and feel of, the perfect condo, let's say by the water, you're talking about minimum 800,000 to a million US, when the same condo in Mexico will be probably 250, 300,000, depending on the location. And we have homes, beach homes, literally by the water, 4 blocks walking distance that go at 225, 225,000 US. So it's a 3 bedroom house, and we're a full house, not like a tiny house. So just doing the comparables on size or prices and the fixed costs, taxes are much lower in Mexico. They're very high in the US. We cannot do anything when they raise our taxes. I have properties in Chicago that the taxes keep going up, and there is nothing I can do. I can protest a little bit, complain, go and, do the paperwork that needs to be done. So they're like, okay, we lower this much. And I'm like, well, but you raise it by 3,000. So it is like that, lack of I feel you just don't know what's gonna happen, and you just have to go with it because you're in a country that you just have to comply, because for tax purposes we have to comply. Well, the same property in Miami, let's say, we do these studies all the time comparing Miami to Mexico, at least, in the East Coast. The property taxes in a condo, they were about minimum of 8,000 per year in a condo that, two bath, 1,100 square feet. The
Yeah.
same one in Mexico by the water as well, same distance. It was 700 a year. So we're talking about
Wow.
1,700 per year. So
Unbelievable. Look at that. And then I imagine too the cost of operating it, the cost of operating and vacationing in that spot is cheaper in Mexico, more cost effective than it would be in Miami or into Florida at this point as well, right? You could probably live longer on less
yes.
there. Now,
Yeah.
what about rental? So, as a Canadian snowbird buying a condo in Mayan Riviera, can you live in that condo for 3 months, let's say 2 to 3 months, and then rent it out for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our clients do that. Like most of our clients are expats. So 89, 90% of people do that. They don't live there permanently. Literally, people go there for 3 to 6 months, and then they leave the property up to property management. It's you can rent it all year round. The good thing of Mexico, they don't have as many rules and regulations on the Airbnb restrictions. So you can do whatever you want. So if you want to live there for 2 months and rent it out the rest of the year, nobody cares. If you want to live there for a year, and or your uncle lives there for a year, or your mom lives there, nobody cares. It's like just it's your condo. You do whatever you want with it. You don't have restrictions of who goes in, who goes out. The HOAs are very low compared to Florida. So if your fixed cost in Florida is $2,000 a month, because you have to consider this is outside of the mortgage, right? Yes, HOA, taxes, maintenance, and whatever else comes the same, it will be like much less in probably you're talking about $300 a month max, like that includes even the protection for the hurricanes. So it's 300 or 2000. I think that kind of makes per month. That makes a huge difference for people when you want to do your budget for the year and you're in the age that you want to retire and make sure your money stretches as long as you can instead of spending everything in 2 years. So I think that's super important because I mean, price of food is also not too bad. So compared, every time I come to Chicago, like the price of eggs are triple, and I'm like, okay, and I eat a lot of eggs. So the food is much more natural too. I don't know if you feel that way, but when I'm stepping out of the US, I feel like I lose weight, I lose inflammation, like I'm eating, from the land. It's not like so much processed foods, and I don't know, I just feel healthier. And to me, that's the most important thing. If you're healthy, your body's healthy, and you can, make sure your retirement funds or your money lasts longer, then you can be healthier and happier longer instead of worrying about the stress of being in a big city for no specific reason. Like I don't see a reason for me to be in a big city right now, and I'm working and I'm always traveling, but everybody has their own lifestyle, so it's respectable.
Technology has really broken down those barriers, right? And the pandemic really expedited the growth of technology and the adaptation of technology in all industries, but especially in real estate. Prior to the pandemic, I know, as a managing broker at a Century 21 in Toronto, and it was so bricks and mortar. I mean, right down to the fact that we weren't accepting electronic anything electronically. Everything had to be a hand delivered draft. So when you think about how primitive that is at this point and how, nobody was doing a Zoom call, and now this is commonplace for us. We had electronic signings, but we weren't doing it on a regular basis. So, our industry has changed so much since the pandemic, and this is the good side. The flip side, because we're always talking about how AI and different things are taking jobs away. This is really revolutionizing how we can connect internationally safely and go different places and feel good about it. So talk to me a little bit more. You sort of touched on the great food and the more organic food, and I know that you're very your background is not only just tech, but you're also connected to eco living and sustainable living, and you incorporate that in the properties that you highlight. Can you talk to us a little bit about how people working with you can feel like they're reducing their carbon footprint, but also safety as well?
Yeah, and we talk about safety a lot in Mexico because there's some areas that we share more information about. Of course, there's some areas that you don't want to be in, like just like in Chicago, you don't go to the south side. You just know where to go. If you know where to go, you're fine.
Yeah.
Same in Mexico. I mean, people think that, oh, Florida is safer, but compared to what? Mexico can have very safe areas, gated communities. And as you mentioned, with technology, at least for our job, it has become so much easier to work with clients abroad, doing the digital signatures, not so much paperwork. That's why we don't have to spend time in Chicago. We have a team in Chicago that is producing also in our real estate team, but we prefer to be in Mexico because it's just nicer. And why wouldn't you? So we just move with the weather, literally. Like if the weather is getting nicer in the north, we go back to Chicago. Right now we're in Canada. But if the weather gets the weather is too hot sometimes in Mexico in summer, that's why people leave back home.
Right.
But with the tech and the communities, I think it's super important for us to connect in a community level. And that's why we've been doing more of our tours, and I can share more information after, of connecting with humans, people. With technology is there, it helps us every day. We use AI every day, but it doesn't replace the human interaction of a community and how we're trying to be mindful as we offer our clients certain properties to connect to the whoever is there. We don't want to invade any communities. We don't want to take over. We don't want to isolate. Like many times happen that Americans move as a pack to Costa Rica, and then in Costa Rica they just talk to each other and they don't connect with other people that are local, or they don't connect to the culture. They don't care to speak Spanish because they're like in their little island. So for us, it's super important to kind of break those barriers because we're going to a different land, a different place, to respect the land, to respect the locals, and having that interaction of working together or giving each other's jobs because you still need the support of the local community. Learn Spanish if you don't speak Spanish, a few words here and there help. So when we search for properties, then there's a new fad that everybody in Tulum is eco sustainable. They're like, but they just do this like as an advertising tool. And it's sad to see that they really don't care because they just say, oh, we're eco-living because we have a palm tree in the middle of the living room, or we don't use air conditioning or something like that. And we're like, that's not eco-living. You're piling the garbage on the side and you should just do something with it. So then we're trying to kind of point those things, not because we want to poke on people or poke on organizations or companies, but more like, hey, if you say it that you are this, just fucking show it. I don't know. But don't just say you're eco-friendly when you are destroying the planet, and with the pollution that you can have, your footprint is quite big. So that's how we don't buy into the advertising. We kind of search with our own resources to see like who's actually doing, who's respecting the land, who's not building from corner to corner a brick building. They're actually leaving space for nature, green areas. That's super important because if you build in 100 meters worth of that, then you increase the heat in the area and it's hot enough. So if you don't leave any space for nature, that place is going to be super hot. So then those little things that help on the being mindful as we go. It's a different country, we have to respect it. And having that culture, because we have clients that if they're too like, I don't want to say the word, but they just want to take over a space and they want to put the rules and regulations and like, this is my mini America, for example, that is not going to gel with the community that we're building there. It's going to be like I'm not saying an outsider, but I don't think it's going to click with what we're trying to create there. We're trying to go there with respect and be mindful of nature, not to take over a location that is it's not ours, it's a different country. So if
Love
that
that.
is important for some people, I mean, it's important for us. Definitely, that's how we try to run our everyday, and the people who join our group, we're also to be mindful in that way. Otherwise, I think I always say your vibe attracts your tribe, and that's super true. And I think people who are coming together for a reason, at least when we're down there. And it flows so organically. It's just beautiful. Like I truly feel like I'm at home there every winter.
I feel like this is something that Canadians can really get behind because we embrace multiculturalism in Canada all over, but especially in the Toronto and the Greater Toronto area. So to be connected with international like-minded individuals who are actually enjoying these beautiful paradises and Mayan Riviera in particular, you being that guide to how we can interact there, enjoy it, because we very much want to fuse. Fusion food in the Toronto area is a very big thing. We have a lot of multicultural and biracial people in Toronto. And so I think of this as a fusion of cultures that you're talking about in these sustainable communities where we too are interacting, but with our best selves and not to try and add to the community without detracting and to enjoy the natural beauty of and not take over. That is one of the most beautiful things about different cultures and that you can really enjoy. So Canadians are right on board to do that. I want to talk about how you can join Natalie and I at the real estate roadshow, an international roadshow that we have coming up April 11th from 5:30 to 7 o'clock. Join us at the BMO. Beautiful bank branch, and we are going to be having a full session and raffling off an opportunity to that's a 300 US value to join Natalie and her team in Mexico for a beautiful 4-day tour of these gorgeous properties that are sustainable and eco-friendly. And so you get that opportunity when you come to the roadshow. But come on out and start talking to us about the opportunity. We're going to have a BMO mortgage advisor with us, and his name, let me just see, David Nandalal, that'll be joining us as well, so that we can provide the total opportunity for you. So if you are a boomer, and you are house rich and cash poor, we want to help you access those funds to purchase your dream property in Mexico, where your money is going to go further. And this is the total solution for you. So if you've ever been, curious about living your dream life and your dream retirement, this is the time to do it. April 11th, 5:30 to 7 o'clock. We're going to have all the information in the links below. You can check out the flyer and also more information on Nathaly and her team in the links below. But come join us, McCowan and 401, April 11th, 5:30 to 11, and win that raffle.
Yeah. No, thanks for the opportunity, Nicole. And we're super excited to share more on this topic. And like you said, the opportunity from A to Z, sometimes you don't know where to start. You don't know why, or you just wanna you wanna do something about changing your life in a different way or have a plan B, but you just don't know where to start. And it gets overwhelming. So having that hand holding in a way that, from the financial, how you get started to how do you get the search going to, okay, let me go there and check it out. We did these real estate tours for the community. They started last year. And I think they were successful because if you come to a real estate tour, with our group, Nicole is also part of that as well. You can see properties without the pressure of buying because it's a tour. It's like you go to a cenote tour, you go to the bus tour, like you go to the different cities and you see the city with the bus. It's the same thing, but with properties, and you can actually see, feel, get gauge what do you get for what, or where the locations, and what the prices are certain way versus the other ones. So I think it gives you a more context to make a decision without feeling the pressure that you're engaging a realtor's time to buy or not buy. So sometimes people feel bad. They're like, I don't want to talk to a realtor because I don't know if I'm going to buy. I'm just going to check it out. These tours allow you to check it out without engaging somebody's time because we love what we do. It's kind of like, come on a tour, we want to share more information. And now here in Canada, to share in person, not only the concept of it, but also the invitation on the learning the how to. So as long as you know a little bit what questions to ask, whether you work with us or not, at least you know what questions to ask your realtor, wherever you're going. Not only it can be Mexico, it can be the Caribbean, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, but at least you know what to ask because we all have the same struggle in Latin America. We don't have systems in place, MLS, so it's harder to find a good realtor because realtors are not always licensed.
Right.
So that's the problem, and that's kind of at least gives you that trust process of going through.
Like a traveling open house, opposed to, Canadians are not a big fan of the timeshare pressure sort of situation. It's not one of those. These are, top-notch international professionals who are giving you the opportunity to dip your toe into the beautiful water that's in the Mayan Riviera and give you an opportunity just to see what is it like living in these areas. What is it? Am I a good fit? What is the price opportunity? Do I see myself here? And you can add this onto a vacation very easily. So it becomes a good natural next step. And then once you have the comfort of your lender being very much Canadian and connected through local realtors as well, such as myself, it gives you that total feel-good package of this is doable. This is a safe international connection that I have that I can take it a little bit further. So let your first step be coming to join us and meet Nathaly in person and her team. And let's just explore the opportunity together because you got to have a dream to have a dream come true. So Nathaly, thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm so excited to see you next week.
Yeah, likewise. And thank you so much, Nicole, for the opportunity to be in your podcast. I'll see you guys, everybody, next week.
Sounds good. Thank you.